Does your Linux distro feel slow? Ready for one that actually uses your hardware to its full potential? Meet CachyOS, the turbocharged, performance-driven Arch-based distro that takes speed to a whole new level. CachyOS is packed with optimizations, from advanced CPU instruction sets to cutting-edge compiler techniques, all pushing your hardware to its peak. And with a lineup of custom kernels featuring the Bohr scheduler and even a real-time variant, you'll experience a level of responsiveness that's hard to match. In this video, I'll be showing you how to install CachyOS on a USB drive using a single USB drive, so you can test drive this powerhouse without touching your main system. So stick around, this isn't just another Linux install, we're about to dive into CachyOS and unlock a whole new level of performance. Now, I know what you think. This sounded like an intro to any Linux distro out there, because they all claim to have good performance. But hear me out, this one has so many optimizations in it like no other distro I've seen. Usually those distros that claim to have good performance ship with the Zen kernel, which is a good one. And they also give you some tools to preload stuff into memory so that everything feels a bit more faster. This one, however, recompiles the Arch packages with the advanced CPU instruction sets, which should give you better performance out of the box. And they claim that so compiled packages should give you 5 to 20% performance uplift compared to the original. This is absolutely awesome, of course, if your CPU supports it, which it probably does. In addition, they additionally boost performance on a package level by selectively implementing some other optimization techniques. Those optimizations are applied on the linker level or as a sort of post-processing when the binary is already compiled. For those kind of optimizations, you usually have to put in some effort. It's not like just toggling a switch and recompiling it. You have to test the workflows, so I really hope they did put in the effort. This is of course oversimplified, and without being too technical, if it's done right, it can give amazing results. Now, this is not applied to all packages, but if you look at the repository, here you can find a custom CachyOS Proton version and custom Wine versions. And this is something that really excites me, because if Wine and Proton are optimized well, CachyOS might be the best gaming distro out there. This is a bold claim, of course, and I can't wait to test this out and verify it. But optimized packages is not all what CachyOS offers when it comes to performance. CachyOS comes with a fleet of custom kernels with all sorts of optimizations. But there is one thing where CachyOS is really unique. It uses a Bohr scheduler by default. From my understanding, a very simplified explanation what the Bohr scheduler does, it penalizes those tasks that occupy the CPU for too long. Or better to say, those tasks that release the CPU more frequently get priority. And this improves the overall responsiveness. I think that CachyOS is the only distro that ships the Bohr scheduler, but if you know of another distro that ships with it, please write down in the comments, I would like to know. Now, when it comes to kernels, CachyOS also offers a real-time kernel, which is interesting. I know that Ubuntu Pro also ships with a real-time kernel, which is kind of free with some conditions, but this one is like open source free, like GNU public license free, which is amazing. I also did a video about the Ubuntu real-time kernel where I tested the performance, so if you want to see the comparison, you can check out the link to the video up there or down in the description. Now that we've seen what makes CachyOS a true powerhouse, let's get hands-on and bring it to life on a USB drive. Now, there is one thing that I need to mention. The USB drive that we will use should be a more faster one, so it should have a decent read-write speed. Otherwise, the whole system will be very slow and you will get really frustrated, and all those performance optimizations will not help you if the USB drive with the operating system is the bottleneck. So get a decent USB drive. I will guide you through each step of the installation process, so let's dive in and let's get it installed. First, we need to download the CachyOS ISO image. So on the official website, click on download. Here you have a desktop edition, and the handheld edition officially supports Rock Ally, Steam Deck, and Legion Go. So if you're using those devices, you can try out CachyOS directly on them, which is very nice. But for this video, we will go with the desktop edition. So download desktop edition, direct. The image has 2.5 gigabytes. Download completed, and here is the image. This ISO image contains the live environment and the installer, and now we need to flash this one on a USB drive. I'm using Windows, and here I will use a tool called Rufus. This is it. You can find the link to Rufus down in the description. Now plug in the USB drive. I will do it as well. Rufus has recognized the drive. Now let's select the ISO. This is it. Open. Leave everything else on default and select Start. Here, select DD image mode and OK. Now it warns us that everything that is currently on the USB drive will be deleted. So if you have something important on there, make a backup first. I don't have anything important on there, so I will just continue and press OK. This can take a bit. Finished and close. The USB drive with the live environment is ready, and now we need to boot into it. I will assume that you already know how to boot from a USB drive, but if you don't, you plug in the USB drive, you restart the system, and while the system is restarting, you need to press one of the function keys. Usually it's F11 or F12, it depends on your PC manufacturer. Then you should get the boot menu, and inside the menu, select the USB drive, and it should boot into it. I will do the same on my machine as well, and I'll see you after the reboot. And here we are. This is now CachyOS live environment running from a USB drive. Although this looks like the full CachyOS, this is just the live environment for testing. So if you just want to try it out, you can do it here, but after you reboot, everything will be resetted as it was before. But we want to install Cachy. First we need to connect to the internet, so let's do it. Connected. I want to install CachyOS on the same USB drive, so the easiest way how to do it is to first unplug the USB drive and plug it back in. Don't worry, CachyOS is running from RAM, so you should be able to unplug the USB drive without problems. So let's do it and plug it back in. Now let's open gparted. Here, find the USB drive. In my case, this is the one. Now right click on the partition, format to, path 32. And apply. Operation was successful, close, and now select Launch Installer. Here we need to select the bootloader. I will go with Grub. This is the CachyOS installation wizard. I will just go with the defaults, so American English is okay, time zone is okay, keyboard okay. Now this is the important step. Up here where it says select storage device, select your USB drive. In my case, this is the one. Now select Erase Disk, then choose a file system. BTRFS is the default. Inside here there is also ZFS, which is in my opinion a more advanced BTRFS. But since I'm installing on a USB drive, I will choose F2FS. F2FS is a very fast file system and it's designed for devices like the USB drive. If you want, you can also enable encryption, but I will leave it as it is. And next. Here we need to choose a desktop environment, and as you can see, we have a big list of environments. Interestingly, we also have the Cosmic Desktop here, which is in alpha at the time of recording. For this video, I will choose GNOME and continue. If you want to add additional packages, you can do this here, but I will leave it as it is. Now add your user. And next. Here you can see a summary what will be done and install. Now this can take 20 minutes or so. Installation completed, all done, and the only thing left to do now is to restart. So let's do it. Now with CachyOS installed, it's finally time to try out the full version. Same procedure, plug in the USB drive, open the boot menu, select the USB drive and boot into it. And here we are. This is now full CachyOS running from a USB drive. Now, if for some reason you cannot boot into the USB drive after installing, you will probably need to reinstall it again, but this time with UEFI disabled. In that case, you will need to do one additional step inside the installer. You will get an option to select where to install the bootloader, and here just select your USB drive. Now let's see what we can do inside CachyOS. We got this welcome screen, welcome to Cachy. I will just click this away and let's open apps. Now here we get 4 apps that are specific to Cachy. First is the Cachy browser, which is a Firefox-based browser. Then we have Cachy Hello. This is the welcome screen. We already saw that. Then we have a very interesting one, the CachyOS Kernel Manager. Now here you can install different CachyOS kernel versions. And as you can see, there are many of those. If for some reason you're not happy with the kernels that Cachy ships, here you can also install the Linux stable kernel, or maybe try out the Zen kernel instead. Then the fourth Cachy specific app is the CachyOS package installer. Here you can install different applications. If you're a fan of GUI package managers, then you can use this one. You can also install individual packages here. So if, for instance, you want to install the CachyOS Wine version, you can do it here, or let's say Proton CachyOS. Or if you don't need a GUI, you can still install those packages with Pacman inside the console. Speaking of console, it's interesting that every time we start the console, we also get a NeoFetch-like output, which is exactly what I wanted to execute here. So this is the fish shell. We are using GNOME 47.1, of course Wayland, and we are using about 2 gigs of RAM. With CachyOS installed and packed with all those optimizations, I can't wait to see how much power this distro can actually deliver. If you're excited as I am to see how far Linux performance can go, give this install a try and let me know what you think down in the comments. I will probably do a CachyOS performance comparison, similar as I did for the real-time kernel on Ubuntu Pro. It is a good one, so if you want to know how a real-time kernel works, you can find the link to the video up there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you really like my videos, down there is a super thanks, so you can buy me a coffee for instance, so I can make more of those awesome videos. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.